Hello, and welcome to the debut episode of Popcorn and Peril, where every kernel holds a deadly secret. I'm your humble host, the Popcorn Bandit. Here, we serve up gripping tales of murder, mystery, and horror, crafted to keep you on the edge of your seat. Each episode takes you on a dark journey through crime and suspense, blending cinematic drama with spine-tingling intrigue. Whether you're a fan of twisted plots or a seeker of the sinister, Popcorn and Peril is your ultimate storytelling escape. So grab your popcorn, dim the lights, and prepare for a thrilling ride into the unknown. Today, we're diving into the classic mystery novel And Then There Were None, written by the legendary Agatha Christie, first published in 1939. This gripping tale of suspense and justice is one of Christie's most famous works, and we're going to explore its twists and turns. Picture it, a secluded island, 10 strangers, each with their own secrets and personal histories. All of them have received mysterious invitations, asking them to come for different reasons: vacation, work, or simply a gathering with old friends. And yet, none of them know the true reason they've been invited. That's the eerie thing about Soldier Island. It's cut off from the world, surrounded by choppy seas, with only the barest hint of a welcome. No one is quite sure who UN Owen is or why they're really here, but that doesn't stop them from getting comfortable. The mood is, at first, strangely light, but that quickly changes when they meet their hosts. Mrs. Rogers, the housekeeper, is pale and distant. Her husband, the butler, seems similarly stiff. Something's off about them, but no one can quite place it. Still, as they settle in, some of the guests try to get to know each other. There's the big, bold General MacArthur, a man who's seen it all: war, betrayal, and now, he hopes, a quiet retirement. But even as he laughs, he carries a heavy burden, one he's not ready to share. Then there's Vera Claythorne, the governess, who keeps to herself more than most. She's quiet, yet there's an underlying tension in her movements, something hidden beneath her calm exterior. There's also the rich and boisterous Anthony Marston, a handsome young man with a devil-may-care attitude. He drinks whiskey like water and has a reputation for getting into trouble. But no one expects him to be so carefree that he would ignore the ominous tension in the air. "Oh, this is going to be fun," he says, laughing. Little does he know. Now, of course, you can't forget Justice Wargrave, the retired judge, a man of law and order. He's calm, even in the face of what's coming. But there's something unsettling about him. He enjoys the power he holds in a room, his eyes sharp as he studies everyone else. You'd think he's the kind of guy who can sniff out guilt in an instant. And he's almost certainly doing it right now, mentally sizing up his fellow guests. And then there's Dr. Armstrong, the doctor with a complicated past. He's the quiet, professional one, always analyzing everyone around him, but not saying much about himself. He wears his calm demeanor like a mask, but the closer you look, the more you see a man deeply conflicted about the life he's led. The thing is, Armstrong never quite seems to relax, like there's always something on the verge of breaking through. The evening starts with a kind of awkward dinner, where everyone's pretending to enjoy themselves. But when they sit down to listen to the gramophone message, things change fast. It's an unnerving recording, accusing each person of a terrible crime they've committed in the past. For some, it's vague, like Miss Emily Brent, who's accused of causing the death of a young woman who was once in her employ. For others, like Vera, the accusations hit much closer to home. She is blamed for causing the drowning death of a child under her care, a death she has never forgiven herself for. And at first, it's all just confusion. The guests argue among themselves, trying to figure out who could have arranged this elaborate prank. "This is absurd," someone says. Another suggests it's just a mix-up. But then, the first body is found. Mrs. Rogers is the first victim. She's found dead in her bed, looking almost peaceful. But she's not sleeping. She's been poisoned. And just like that, the island's eerie calm is shattered. Suddenly, the nursery rhyme posted in every room takes on a horrifying significance. 10 little soldiers, it reads, and with each line, another person is supposed to die, one by one. The next to go is Anthony Marston. His death is almost anticlimactic in a way. He's drinking his whiskey like usual, laughing off the tension. But then suddenly his face freezes, and he collapses, choking. Poison, once again. The rest of the group is stunned. How is this happening? The paranoia begins to set in, but no one knows who to trust. Then, the deaths just keep coming. General MacArthur, lost in his own world, retreats to the cliffs to gaze out at the sea. His mind is elsewhere, consumed by guilt when he's struck in the head, falling to the ground. He doesn't even get a chance to scream. What was that? Who could have? Now it's really getting tense. The group starts pointing fingers. "It's him," someone exclaims. But the suspicion is thick, and no one knows if they can believe anyone. But they have no choice. They're stuck on the island, and the storm outside isn't letting up. More deaths follow in quick succession. Bloor, the former policeman, is crushed by a statue that falls on him. Dr. Armstrong, while searching for clues, disappears from the group and is later found drowned in the sea. Each death is more brutal than the last. The once carefree conversations between the characters become desperate, frantic. They argue, accuse each other. "It's you, isn't it? You're the one doing this," someone shouts, only to have the accusation fall flat, as everyone realizes they're all in the same boat. But the most horrifying part? They start to suspect each other. It's impossible to ignore the growing dread that one of them is the killer. Each night, they sleep with one eye open. Every creak of the floorboard sounds like a death sentence. And then, it happens. Dr. Armstrong is found dead. His body is discovered in a ravine, mangled beyond recognition. The remaining survivors now realize they're in the final stages of this grim game. Vera Claythorne, the last woman standing, makes a desperate move. She believes that Justice Wargrave, the cold and calculating judge, is the killer. And so, in a moment of terror, she shoots him. But when she returns to her room, she finds a final horror. There's no escaping her fate. And then there were none. The authorities arrive too late, finding nothing but bodies. But there's one last twist to the puzzle. The mastermind? It was Justice Wargrave all along. He planned every death, carefully, calculating each move with the precision of a judge delivering a sentence. He even faked his own death, using makeup and trickery to throw suspicion off himself. But in the end, it was his desire for control, for vengeance, that drove him to murder. He'd spent his whole life delivering verdicts, but this time it was his turn to make the rules. The whole thing, every death, every moment of terror, was orchestrated by him, and no one had a clue until it was too late. And that, my friend, is the terrifying genius of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you have any suggestions for improvements or ideas you'd like to see in future episodes, please let me know. Until we meet again, take care and stay curious.